Right, not a week in life vlog because it's kind of like my week off from doing that, but I thought I'd just do highlights of the week because it's kind of like early part of the year. I thought I'd just share how I'm getting on this week, and there's a few other things that have cropped up that I just want to mention. So I will very quickly mention my fuel costs. So yeah, they've gone up again since last week. So last week I was paying with the VAT, cheapest one was the BWOC or Block Card, which is 139.12. This week, the BWC block card was 117.25 plus the VAT, and the UK fuels was marginally more expensive, 117.54. That was their revised price. So they sent me a price end of last week, which was more than that, and then they sent me a text earlier in the week before I'd use any of the cards saying the revised price sort of thing down to the one I just said. So it's slightly more than the block card, but it's easier to use the Shell card, and I hadn't used it for a while. So yeah, I just decided I was going to use that this week. It works out at 141.05 including the VAT. So that was the fuel prices. So they're still expensive. They dropped down, seems to be going back up again, which is annoying. So Monday I was pretty late starting. I kind of thought to myself, I need to start early now because it's hard to get a job, but it was like close to 10:30 by the time I got everything sorted for the week, and a few jobs at home, and got looking. Got a job pretty sharpish up to Pete's, local to me, Midlands obviously. I'm going into the details of jobs too much. Going up to Peterlee, that was 185, sorry, that was 168, and then I was up there and I thought that might be it for the day. And then, but luckily I managed to snag a job sort of early evening. I got the job about 10 to 6. It was a small van job, just a set of keys, 160 quid. Sorry, 160 miles down to sort of Stoke area. I quoted 160 quid. So £1 a mile, small van, quiet time of year. I was quite surprised to get it, but it only worked out 85 pence a mile, all miles, because it was in Darlington, so I had to drive from Peterlee to Darlington to pick it up. It took like 50 minutes. Obviously we didn't have many people bidding on that job, so that's how it just works out, and how being a tramper and working in the evenings can pay off. So that ended up being my best day of the week, 328. And then Tuesday I sat around Stoke for quite a while to get my first job. In the end I took a job from sort of Nantwich way, I can't remember, could be Northwich I think it was. A wait and return job from Northwich, so Northwich to Manchester and then back to the place where I picked up. Turned out to be they'd sent the wrong size drum of some kind of fluid, so I took the correct drum up there, and then I collected the wrong one that had been sent and brought it back to their depot. That was 80 quid, and then I was sat in just outside Northwich for a while looking for jobs, and then one pinged up, same shipper, same postcode, but this one was a small van job. The morning one was a midi van job, but I reckon it should have been a short wheelbase job. But anyway, got bid down on this one, but I got it again for 80 quid, small van job, heading down to Southam, just south of Leamington Spa. That put me on 160 for the day, still not great. But being there, I wasn't far from Banbury, so I've checked the Amazon Flex feed, and I got a 2.5 hour evening block. So I knew it was going to be same day and spread out, driving between each drop. I thought 2.5 hour, because it's normally 3 and 3.5 hour. So I thought that's strange to see a 2.5 hour, and it was paying £54.50. So that's because it was quite close to when the pickup was. The rate had gone up higher than standard. So I thought, well, that's good. I normally get like a 3 hour one done in like 2 hours 20. So maybe I'll get that done in 2 hours. That works out all right. Went and picked it up, and it was a bit of a nightmare block. I thought, being a shorter block than I normally see, it's going to be local, like in Banbury. But no, it was like 3 drops in Banbury, most of them in Brackley, but like some in the countryside in between, on the country lanes and stuff. And it would have took me about 2.5 hours had it not been for a road closure, which neither Google Maps nor Amazon Flex app, because that navigates for you. It's all done in the Amazon Flex app. It does the whole shebang. Routing, navigation, same what you've done with the parcels. It's all in the Flex app. So you don't need, Google Maps or anything. You don't need a route planner like Road Warrior or Circuit or anything if you're doing Amazon Flex or Amazon in general. So it was a nightmare. And then I checked the feed after that, and I noticed all the jobs, or a lot of the jobs that used to be like 3 hours and 3.5 hours, you'd see Amazon Flex jobs, whereas they were showing lots of 2.5 hours and 3 hours. So I think what they've done, they're basically being a bit, what was a 3 hour is now a 2.5 hour, and what was a 3.5 hour is now a 3 hour, but the rates have stayed the same, pounds per hour for each depot, which is slightly different depending on the depot. So basically they've skanked it down a bit. They did this a good while ago. They went because it used to be 3.5 hours and 4 hours, and then it became 3 and 3.5 hours. Now it's gone down again to 2.5 and 3 hours. But people are taking these blocks still, because I just tried to get another one this evening in Worcester on the late afternoon one, just to finish the week off. Yeah, and I couldn't get one. They was going really quick when they did crop up. So yeah, obviously Jeff Bezos still not making enough money, not making enough profit. So there you go. So they've done it just after Christmas. So I imagine, this is their quiet time of year as well. So do it now, and they've probably got loads of excess people looking to cover these blocks. So a bit annoyed about that, which kind of means it's even less sort of feasible to do them in a van, especially unless I get like a better rate. So that was the Tuesday. Moving on to Wednesday. So I was in Brackley. Hadn't got a job by 10 in the morning, started looking at 7:30. From there, like kind of Luton Way and Milton Keynes is kind of just about in range, but would normally be, but obviously it's really quiet. So and then I noticed when I was sat here, I got a chip in my windscreen. So it's over to the passenger side again. 2 marks. One had like tiny little cracks coming from it, like 2 millimeters maybe each side of the top chip in the screen. So I thought, fantastic. It's only been in here about a month. Got it replaced in December on a proper stone chip and crack. I don't really want to be paying just over 100 quid again excess. I have to get that chip seen to. So rang National Windscreens, who replaced it. They can't do it for like 12 days. Looked online at Auto Windscreens, that was like 7 or 8 days. You have to book it in, and they come to you, and then you sat around half a day waiting for them to turn up. But I remembered, I've seen these stone chip repair people like in supermarket car parks and stuff. So I tried looking for them online, and that's what I ended up using. So Optic Clear, recommend these guys. That was a thing. So Julian Rolfe was the guy who did mine. So I was in Brackley. I rang up their office helpline thing, and they said, oh yeah, he's in Whitney today. So I had like 35-mile drive, I think, to Whitney, and then he did it there and then. So he had it probably about half an hour. I just went and walked around B&Q, and I got it fixed. So between 10 and midday on Wednesday, I wasn't looking for jobs. That said, I was looking up until 10, and I was looking from 12 until about 5, and I didn't get any CX jobs all day. And I was bidding on jobs, a good few pinged up in with them, went a bit cheap on them, thinking I'm just going to have to, and I still didn't get them, and I'm like 5-10 minutes from them. E-quotes only sort of thing. So that was kind of getting me down in the mouth. And I thought, well, let's try and salvage the day. When it got to 5, I looked at Amazon Flex. There was a block on there from Banbury again, 3-hour block, £63. So that's £21 an hour. Would have been a 3.5-hour block. So it's going to take me about 2 hours 40, maybe 3 hours with the loading. Thought beggars can't be choosers. Went for that. Went to collect it. The good thing about Banbury is with the evening blocks, especially the same day stuff, they used to ask or you could say to them whether you want an OX postcode, Oxford area, or CV. So in a queue, saw the guy and I said, oh, any CV postcodes left? That one, if it's available, please. And he goes, even better than that, I've got nothing for you. So I've had this happen before. I basically booked too many people in. There's a guy before me, they had parcels for him because I saw him going back up by his parcel and start loading. So I was the first guy to turn up, so I just turned up at the right time. It was at 6 o'clock, and I turned up about 2 minutes past 6. You're allowed to be 5 minutes late. Before it won't allow you to say you're there kind of thing and pick up, but they normally sort it out if you speak to them, if you're a bit later than 5 minutes. So I got paid for nothing. Got paid 63 quid driving to Banbury, doing nothing. So I've had that happen before, and that kind of like made up a bit for the dead miles driving to get the windscreen fixed, and then the miles to thing, it kind of worked out £1 a mile for the day. All the kind of like dead miles really, getting to the windscreen fix and then getting to the pickup. So that was a good bit of good luck, but still a crap day. 63 quid for the day. Really dredging the barrel with the old Amazon Flex, just trying to earn something. And then I was sat in Banbury, job pinged up from Milton Keynes the following morning. Kind of a multi-drop, 8 drops, but I'll still bid on multi-drop if it's got the number of drops listed on the job. That's the way I work it now. I won't go for CX jobs. I've said after a bad experience a good while back, I won't go for ones that just say 40, 50 drops, limited information sort of they give. I won't bother them because they never turn out very well, or okay at best. But this one had the number of drops listed, and it turned out to be deliveries to like electrical wholesalers and plumbing wholesalers, where the tradesmen go and stuff to get their stuff open to the public as well, most of them. One of them was to a private address, a couple of pallets and some loose radiators, so it was alright. It was quite nice just to have a kind of like a day job and just be doing something. I actually quite like multi-drop like that. So 225 quid with the getting there miles. It worked, I think it's about 220 miles including getting there, about 180 miles loaded. So yeah, worked out alright. Last drop was near Burgess Hill, just north of Brighton, so Sussex, towards the Sussex coast. Good spot, I've always done well from. And then I was sat in, after doing the last drop, I went to Tesco to use the facilities, and I came out, and then there was a job on there for the following morning from Littlehampton over to somewhere to the west of Southampton, and then last drop in south of Evesham, about 10 miles south of Evesham in the Cotswolds. I bid in 178, and it was like 184 miles, but like I say, 2 drops, long wheelbase. And then it didn't say quote only, so I rang them, and he kind of said, can I do it for 160? And I says, well, what about 170? And he says, I can send it to you 165, but we've had quotes of that already, or 170 or something. So I am being bid down a bit at the moment. If it was busier, I might have just said, no, sorry, can't do it for that. But at the moment, market force, isn't it? So yeah, and it's getting me back towards home. It's still 60 odd miles from home, 57 miles from home by the time I did the last tip, on a Friday. So I did it. 2 drops today, like I say. And that was just packaging, 3 pallets, 2 to the first and 1 to the last one. Quite a nice drive through the Cotswolds. Yeah, so there's a few little clips I'm going to put on now. So the first one is just going to show you sort of the feed of jobs for Amazon Flexed and how it's 2.5 and 3 hour. These would have normally been 3 hour and 3.5 hour. The second one was nice little, I had the time this morning in Littlehampton to go for a walk as the sun was coming up in Littlehampton. the Sussex coast, so that was nice. Right, yeah, home now, about 6 o'clock. So yeah, it's quite nice this morning to have a look around in Littlehampton, nice little town. So that was it for this week. So I tipped the last tip in Moreton in Marsh. It was south of, about 10 miles south of Evesham, about 1:30, or maybe I was done 1:45. And I moved up to Evesham because I thought, you know, more jobs come out of like Evesham. You get to Redditch, get to Worcester, that kind of thing. Hopefully get another job taking me closer to home, or get a Amazon block out of Droitwich, even though they call it Worcester, it's Droitwich. I was thinking, like, if I get a 4 o'clock block, it's worth doing, but I'm not going to get a late one because don't be working into the evening. Kind of had enough for this week, but didn't get one of them. And the feed was very quiet, to be honest. I was getting, you know, notifications for like South Birmingham, into Coventry postcodes, that kind of thing as well. Yeah, and it was just very quiet for a Friday afternoon. So yeah, it's still quiet. And then when it's quiet, normally when it's reasonably busy, Friday afternoons will be fairly sort of busy. But when it's quiet like it is now, it just kind of dies like towards the end of the week, I find. So that was a week. So that was 165 quid for today, one job. And yeah, I wasn't at a great overall rate on that job because they bid me down, and then 57 miles, dead miles to get home, I think it was. So my total takings for the week came to £995.50, 50p being, because obviously there's a few Amazon blocks in there. One of them was 50 pence, which is £199.10 a day takings, so not earnings. Mileage 1,156, which is 86 pence a mile, 86.1 pence a mile. So the pence per mile up until this morning was, or last night, was pretty good. So I managed all them dead miles today to get home at a lower rate and still get over my minimum target, which is 85 pence a mile all miles from leaving the house to getting back at the end of the week. But yeah, not a shocking day. It got me home, kind of thing. And I earned something, so it could have been a lot worse. Could have been like Wednesday. No additional charges this week, so my pre-tax takings this week are 594 for the 5 days, which is £119 a day. Call it £120 a day. Profit, which is my wage. Obviously working quite longish hours, lots of sitting around, away from home all this week. 4 nights in a van, pretty tired now, in need of a good shower and freshen up. So yeah, it's tough. Obviously it's a tough time of year. I just thought I wanted to do one this, because it's the first full week of the year, just to show, even though it's not a full week in life, just to give a sort of bit of an idea what it's like first full week on the run. So I'm hoping it's going to start picking up a bit. I can't see it picking up much until March. It might improve slightly as more businesses get going and stuff. But this is a tough time of year in transport in general, not just on the CX, but it kind of stands to reason. I think a lot of shippers or transport companies, some of them have their own vans. They put the excess stuff on the CX, or stuff they just can't cover with their own guys because they haven't got anyone close enough. And then you've got shippers who just got full-time subbies to them. And you might have some that got their own and got full-time subbies. Basically, it's only excess work that they can't cover with either their own vans or full-time subbies that goes on the CX. So when it's quiet, it stands to reason, you know, they're going to keep their own vans and their own full-time subbies, subcontracted, give as much work as they can to them. So we're not going to farm it out on an ad hoc subby basis, which is what basically the CX allows, caters for. So it's January, February, beginning of the year is quieter in transport, and especially so on, you know, for ad hoc subcontract work, which is what basically the CX is. So It's to be expected. Said before, if you do what I do, relying on the CX at the moment, I haven't got your own customers. This is the kind of time of year to get with DIY done at home, things like that, because if you've got chores you need to do at home, or certainly like indoors DIY really, because it's a bit miserable outside, or take a holiday in the early part of the year if you can, family arrangements and stuff like that. If you haven't got kids and need to go on holidays, like January, February, ideal time to go on holiday, have some time off. If you like winter holidays, skiing, go after Christmas rather than before. Or if you want to get some winter sun, go to the Canaries or something. Obviously it's a bit more difficult at the moment to travel, but in general terms, January, February is to kind of, you're going to get less out for the time you put in. You're not going to earn as much, so it's like the time, it's not the best time of year to have time off in the UK because it's obviously miserable winter and stuff. Now is a good time to have time off, and if you do, for me at the moment, I could take time off. I haven't really got anything I can do. Don't really need doing. Going on holiday is not really too much of an issue. It's quite hard at the moment to go somewhere nice. And I mentioned it before, I'm looking to get my own place later this year. So when you're self-employed, you want to get a mortgage, it's a bit more difficult because you need so many years of trading of accounts, or at least tax returns. And now I basically, after April, I can do my tax return for 2021, 2022, and then I should 3 decent years of accounts to get a decent, hopefully get approved for a mortgage. So between now and April, anything I earn kind of adds to my earnings for that tax year. I go on my tax return, so I kind of need to earn as much as I can now between now and end of February really, because any work I do in March I'm more likely to be paid after the new tax year deadline. And I do my accounting on this thing called cash basis, so not what I've done on paper but what I've actually received, because you can do that when you're a sole trader. You don't, your business takings aren't over so much. So anyway, that's just kind of a bit of where I've been at this week. Obviously it's a bit disappointing. 120 a day, it could have been a lot worse. But like back in the summer when I was doing 170, 180 a day, sometimes 200 a day, I've always said I need to average over the year 150 and work 5 days a week for 46 weeks a year. Then it's kind of like worth doing. So I'm below average now, but it's kind of like make it up later in the year, or just choose to take your time off now. Anyway, so that's it for this week. I'm interested to know anyone else who's currently on a CX and stuff like that, or just got your own customers as well. How are you finding it so far this year? As ever, any comments, please put them below. Please like and subscribe and all that jazz. Thumbs up. And yeah, cheers for watching.